Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm kalikaiz. Today I'm going to be looking at the Pauper metagame on Magic Online. We're going to check out the trophies for the last 2 weeks from March 22nd to 28th and then 29th to the April 4th. Look at the metagame there. Then we're going to check out some of the standard lists that we're seeing. We're going to investigate how things are shaping up. We're also going to check out some of the spicy lists that are popping up in the 5.0 metagame and leagues. And then we will check out Kerblinksey's data. I'll link that as well. He has collected a bunch of information about challenges. So we'll check out the metagame for those for the weeks that are related to these trophies. So before we get started, remember you can check out patreon.com/kalikaiz if you want sideboard guides for the decks I like to play. You can also check out videos ahead of schedule by joining the YouTube membership. We're trying to be a week ahead to make sure that we have fresh content for everybody. Additionally, I wanted to plug once again the Upstate New York Pauper Open number 3 happening in Rochester, New York on this Saturday, April 11th. So hopefully you heard about it ahead of time because I've been trying to plug it, but if you haven't and you can make it out, I will definitely be there. It's going to be a sweet location. Really, really fun last time. And hopefully I will see you there. All right, let's go ahead and get into what the meat of the video is. We have the metagame. On March 22nd to 28th, we had Mono Red Madness as the leader in the decks, with Dimir Terror at 10.5%. Elves at almost 8%, then Affinity, Red Black Madness Gardens, Rally Red, Ruby Storm at 4%. Jeskai Ephemerate kind of making a comeback here. I didn't track data for a while since the end of January, so February was kind of gone, a little bit of March. But things have changed. We're also seeing a lot of people pick up familiars. Wildfire is basically gone, which is interesting. And then we have a bunch of random one-ofs. We're seeing Monster Tron kind of have a rise, and then most Terror decks are Dimir instead of Mono Blue at this point. I had been hearing that Dimir Terror instead of Mono Blue was sort of a response to the rise of Elves because Mono Blue Terror not very good against it. And we have a lot of White Weenie in the challenge metagame, I think. Or like White Weenie got the upgrade with Leo, so Dimir has sweepers for White Weenie, and I guess maybe Dimir is better into Affinity. I'm not sure how that works out specifically, but that's sort of where we've landed at this point. Let's check out the next day, but we had 152 trophies this week on the 22nd to 28th, which is pretty standard. 150-ish was normal. And then I go to the next week, we had 189 trophies, which is really crazy. We had a day with 37 trophies on a single day, which is the most trophies I've ever seen on a day in Pauper, which is absurd. But, you know, the metagame looking pretty normal. The Magic Online metagame with Mono Red Madness at 18.5%, that's pretty standard. The deck is extremely strong. Wait, let's see. The top day it had a 7 trophy day. It had a 9 trophy day. Those are all very powerful, obviously. And then we have Gardens, which was the second place deck here. Mono Blue Terror, then Dimir Terror. So Terror by itself taking up around 12 to 13% of the meta. We have Rally Red at 5.8%. So we have over 20% Mono Red Madness, 12-ish% Terror. It kind of is solidified as far as like what the best things to be doing. You have red decks and you have blue decks. Then you have everybody else trying to pick up the pieces. Underneath all of that, we have Elves and Affinity. Jeskai Ephemerate rising a little bit. Ruby Storm still around. Red Black Madness Burn still there. Wildfire kind of chilling. The rest of the decks are kind of fine. I think it's weird that Spy combo is completely gone, but maybe that's because also of Dimir Terror. So that's interesting. So let's check out some lists. We have a Mono Red Madness. I thought this one was interesting because normally these decks are playing, let me zoom in a little bit. Normally these decks are playing 3 Gutter Snipe and 3 Fire Blast, but this player chose to cut to Fiery Temper instead. That kind of makes sense to me because Fiery Temper, when you actually cast it for the Madness cost, you have to pay the pitch spell, you have to pay the loot or the rummage spell, as well as the Madness cost. So if you wanted to turn to a Highway Robbery and discard Fiery Temper to try to get value, you can't do that. Or discard something with Grab the Prize. You could grab the prize discarding Faithless Looting on turn 2, And you can also use Faithless Looting. Since it's a 4-of, you could, on turn 1, Faithless Looting, discard double snacker into the nut draw of turn 2, grab the prize, discarding a sneaky snacker for 3 snackers on turn 2, which would be pretty sick. I've done that once, or I think that's happened to me before, which was maybe why I really remember it. The next deck, let's check out. We have a Dimir Affinity. This is sort of like a Gardens deck, but they're playing Refurbished Familiar, Utrom, and Mirror Enforcer. Otherwise, it's kind of just removal and draw spells. Just thought that was kind of interesting. We have a 4-color Boros Bully from Supremo Guy. This is a deck that has happened before. It's Boros Bully playing Sneaky Snacker. Snacker just showing that it's really, really strong in the Pauper metagame. Next deck was sort of a Boros Synth plus Cryogen Relic using a Gates package from East Side Crew. So congrats to them for this trophy. They were the only one to trophy with this list in recent history. Looks like we have a Jeskai Synthesizer happen in March 22nd in the Pauper Challenge. So here they're using the gates so they can play their Cryogen Relic. My understanding is that you basically never want to name blue except like once, so you can play the Cryo out and pick it up and put it back down. And they have 4 Hydroblast in the sideboard, which is obviously strong. The next list, so this is the new Grixis Affinity. If you're not familiar with it, Utrom Monitor was released in a Turtle team-up set. It's 4 and a blue for a 3/3 affinity for artifacts flyer, Utrom Scientist. And you combine that with Refurbished Familiar and Mirror Enforcer plus Krark-Clan Shaman, you got a 15 creature package that's very strong. This player is playing 4 Galvanic Blast, a single Toxin, a Cast Down. They have 9 draw spells with 4 Reckoner, 4 Thoughtcast, 1 Eviscer's Insight. I don't see any number of Cryogen Relics. They're playing Ichor Wellspring still. They have a Hunter's Blowgun to pair with the Toxin Analysis to give the Krark-Clan Shaman Death Touch. 1 Chromatic Star is interesting. Other than that, it's pretty stock. Moving on. So this is labeled as Mono White Bully from the MTG Goldfish site. But this is Mono White Weenie. And what they're doing here is they're playing Boros Garrison or potentially getting red. No other ways to make red, except for they have 4 Mardu Devotees. And this allows them to use Rally the Peasants instead of Guardian's Pledge as a pump effect, where if you have 6 mana, you can flash it back and give everybody +4/+0. They're playing 4 of the Leonardo Big Brother, which is a 1/3 with Sneak that gets +1/+0 for each other creature you control. Going wide with Battle Screech makes that a very strong option, of course. And they have a lot of 1-drops to go wide quicker. It looks like the Leonardo is the top of their curve at 4. Well, I guess the Rafine's Informant only costs 2 mana. Battle Screech obviously does cost 4 mana, but you can flash it back for 0. This one, Madness Burn from X to 2. I did want to point out that they managed a trophy with a 6-ticket deck. It's $30 in paper. They're not playing any Pyroblast effects, and that's why they were able to do this. But if you want to play Magic and play Pauper on the cheap, this might be the list for you. Moving along, a not very cheap deck. This is Ruby Storm. Mehansky managed to 5-0 with a version not playing Leyline Weaver, instead playing 8 cost reducers with 4 Rite of Flame and 4 Seething Song. I just recently put out a video on this, so you can check that out on my channel. But essentially, this version is looking to just have more mana and go off that way. Sometimes the Rite of Flame can allow you to go off with just 1 land. And I also was told by a few people that they didn't want to play Universes Beyond and Turtles stuff. So you can, I guess Spider Manifestation was a Spider-Man card. So you don't have to play Spider-Man cards if you play this Rite of Flame version of the deck. The next one is a Jeskai Ephemerate. So that's pretty crazy. This is, oh no, okay, normal Jeskai Ephemerate. But the change here, I saw this first from Chaotic MTG. They've been trophying with this quite a bunch. They have cut all the artifact lands. They're just playing duels and no wildfire. So a wildfire-less package. Playing Bender's Waterskin, which I've never ever seen before, but it's a 3-mana rock that untaps during each other player's untap step. So it's kind of just like always online. And that's cool. The next one, Esper Ephemerate. This is starting to reach the spice, right? Esper Ephemerate from Isaliath. They are playing Mole Drifters, Arcane Mancer, Mystic, Dawnbringer. Esper you would think is playing Refurb, but no Refurbished Familiars. A regular mana base with Contaminant Landscape as a glue, plus Lorien and the duels. They have 3 Ephemerates, Crypt Incursion, Mystical Teachings, Snuff Outs. That is a wild list, so congrats to them on making it to the 5-0 dump. The next one, Chris MTG02. They've been on a tear with this one. This is what I'm calling Naya Gates. We are playing Gates for mana fixing. There is Hydroblast in the sideboard, but it's basically a Naya deck with Writhing Chrysalis. And the thing that I'm seeing recently, they're playing 4 Malevolent Rumble, 3 Satyr Wayfinder, 2 Town Greeter. They also have Rafine's Informant. So they're milling themselves pretty aggressively. They have Thraben Charms, but they also have Journey to Nowheres to pick off like the Malevolent Rumble. And they seem to be crushing. They actually managed to 5-0 2 times with this deck in the same day, which is when I pulled it from. Moving up, we have a red-green from Debaggin13. You might remember Debaggin13 from the mono-green Stompy list. They're still playing their Cloakwood Swarmkeepers over here, but they've paired it with Writhing Chrysalis. That makes a lot of sense. They're also playing Ice Cream Kitty, which is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Food Cat Mutant card. You can sacrifice another creature or token to draw a card. And they're playing, let's see, Glimpse the Impossible, Malevolent Rumble. Sort of like an Impact Tremors-y deck, but they're not playing any of the Tremors cards. Still sort of a tokens-based strategy. Really cool, though. Oh, Generous Ent, but Hooting Mandrills in the main deck because of the many partings, because of the cash grabs and Malevolent Rumbles, turns on your Hooty Hoots faster, which is cool. And Mass Vandals on one of them in the sideboard. I like this deck. You want to play some stompy nonsense? You got to look to Debaggin13 if you want to find the spicy lists. Now, another red-green deck. This one looks the same at first, but then you realize, wait, this is a combo deck. We're playing Writhing Chrysalis, of course, because red-green always plays Writhing Chrysalis. But the way this deck works, we have Foundry Inspector to make artifacts you cast cost 1 less to cast. You have Evolution Witness, which has 1 and a green for Adapt 2. You put 2+1/+1 counters on it, and whenever 1 or more counters are put onto the Witness, you return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So this was played a lot in Glee. You put the Glee on this while you were going off, you can get back everything from your graveyard. Now we have Mere Scrappling, which is a 1 mana artifact. You can sacrifice it to put a counter on a creature. That means if you have Foundry Inspector, you get infinite size Evolution Witness. So it's an infinite power Witness. Because you're just going to keep getting the Mere Scrappling back, sacrificing it, getting it back. We also have Iron Apprentice. When it dies, you can move the counters to another creature. Essence Warden for infinite life, potentially. And then Molten Gatekeeper for infinite pings. So that's the combo. It's pretty sweet. Scout the City's interesting. They also have Implement of Ferocity. So Implement of Ferocity can be 2 mana to draw a card and increase the size of your Evolution Witness when you don't have the combo in line. But if you have Foundry Inspector in play, for every green, you'll get to draw a card and grow your Witness for 1 mana, which is pretty sweet. Moving up. I mean, that was cool. I like that. I faced this once in a league and got trashed, I think, from Agua Tonificata. Moving up, we have a Tamer pile from Dig Dude 13. I'm looking at the list. I see Writhing Chrysalis, Boarding Party, Annoyed Altasaur. I'm thinking, oh, this is like a ramp strategy. But we're not playing any number of Wild Growths or Arbor Elves or anything like that. Instead, Sakura Tribe Elder is the main ramp. And Malevolent Rumble can ramp as well, but they're playing Brainstorm, which sets up their Altasaur boarding party, which is sweet. They also have Acid Moss as a way to ramp and interact with your opponent. Looks like a pile, right? But this person trophied 3 times, or this list trophied 3 times, which is cool. Pretty nuts. Moving up. 4-color Ephemerate. Okay. Weird. It looks like green-white plus blue gates. They've got Coiling Oracle, Arroyo Grazer to ramp 22 lands. Makes sense in that kind of strategy. And then they're using Ephemerate to try to get those out, but they can also Ephemerate a Moldrifter or Ephemerate a Cerulean Gatekeepers to get extra life. Gatecreeper Vine, you could Ephemerate that to get more Basilisk Gates in play. Lots of gate nonsense happening today. Moving up. Okay, so this is the person that trophied 3 times. This is Lynx33. They have created a Teamer Scred pile, not playing Terror, just Writhing Chrysalis, with 4 Monarch creatures, 2 mystics, and 4 writhing chrysalis, and the rest of it is full control. They've got Bolt, Scred, Spell Pierce, Counterspell, Heritage Reclamation in the main deck, a 5th Wildfire with Geomancer's Gambit, and then the Wildfire. So they are able to ramp quickly and just go over the top of your opponent with a control shell, which is kind of neat. Top 3 spice. Well, it's really the top 2 spice. We have a Teamer and a blue-green pizza combo. So this is the pizza combo. DB Luciano Guma played it. I believe this is the one that is very similar to the one that managed to do well in Pauper Geddon, but they've slotted it in a first day of class, which you can teachings for to give your Devoted Druid haste. That's pretty sweet. And then we have a full combo version from Paul 16, 4 Devoted Druid and a bunch of 4 Guac. Looks like 4 Helix, no Banishing Knack, so that's interesting. And then a very clean list with 4 Dispel, 4 Safekeeping. And then they are playing the Abundant Growth, which is neat. Abundant Growth is cool in this deck, though if you haven't seen it. Devoted Druid, you can untap by putting a negative counter on it, and Guac and Marshmallow Pizza gives it +2/+2. So if you tap it for green to play the pizza, now you untap the creature, or you make the creature +2. You untap it for -1, so that's +1/1. And then with the Retraction Helix, you can now target your Guac and return it to your hand. And then you make infinite mana, infinite green mana, infinite power and toughness on the Devoted Druid, although it will also have a lot of -1 counters on it, so as soon as you pass the turn, it will die. And then you can bounce your Abundant Growth forever to draw your deck, and you can also bounce all of your opponent's creatures and attack, which is pretty awesome. Now the spiciest list, get ready for it. Mono, blue, Monster Tron. I never thought I would say that, but this person, Fabio Sturm, managed 5-0 with Mono Blue Monster Tron. They're playing the Monster Tron cards of Maelstrom Colossus, Ulamog's Crusher. That makes sense. They got Mirror Shell Crab in the deck as a way to channel and play a counter spell, which I think is interesting. But it's also a 5/7 with Ward 3. And they have Mold Drifter to draw cards. Boulder Branch Golem. You're never casting it for green, apparently, but it is a 6/5 that gains a bunch of life. Then you have Candy Trail, Map, Relic, more world maps, Pinnacle Kill Ship as a removal spell, Utter Significance as a removal spell that I've never seen see play. And then Kill Ship can be a 7/7 flying attacker as well. They have the blue cards, Annul, Hydroblast, great versus red. Relic of Regenis makes sense. Some Lembus to bring in versus red, apparently. And then they have Fade Away, which is really good versus elves. For each creature, that creature's controller pays 1 or sacrifices a permanent. Well, I guess maybe it's not that good versus elves, but it would probably be amazing versus White Weenie. So that was pretty sweet. Hopefully you enjoyed a look into the Pauper 5-0 decks. Why don't we take a look at the metagame for the challenges before we wrap it up? So on the 27th, we had Dimir Terror taking the top spot, tied with Elves, and then Mono Red Madness behind it. But the top 3 decks not doing super good. Dimir Fae with 5 pilots at a 60% win rate. Nice. We have another one. So this one looks pretty balanced from a meta share. The top 3 decks aren't doing super well. We have the decks behind that doing pretty well. After that, we have a Sunday Pauper Challenge. Mono Red Madness really, really far out on this Sunday with almost 18%, but the win rate not very good. Elves with a solid win rate. Then we have Jund Wildfire, Mono Blue Terror, White Weenie, only 4 pilots with a pretty good win rate. Moving up, Thursday of the next week on April 2nd, Elves and Jund Wildfire tied for top. The win rate's not good. The Dimir Terror and Mono Red Madness, solid win rate, but only 4 pilots. So it looks like everything's pretty balanced. People can come out of nowhere to win. Friday of the next week, we have Dimir Terror, the most played deck, but not a good win rate at all. White Weenie. It's interesting how the top decks in all of these challenges have not had a good win rate. Moving up. Saturday the 4th, I believe we went all the way through the 4th. Mono Red Madness, 19% of the field, 42% win rate. You just, as soon as you add pilots, the win rate tanks, which is really interesting. On the 5th, we had Mono Red Madness, and now Dimir Terror with 7 pilots finally gets a good win rate in the top 3. And then Monster Tron with a 16-14 for a 53% win rate. Actually want to check out, there was a Monster Tron deck, it looks like probably this one. This player is playing Unfathomable Truths as a draw spell instead of the other ones that you could potentially play. So I've seen that floating around. It's kind of sweet. Let me know what you thought about my look into the Pauper metagame, some cool lists to try out, and I will see you in the next video.